Film Club.
How much time do I have? Jerry, you have too much time on your hands. That is funny because I have the herb time on my hands, and that is a good joke. You need to watch David first, mate.
Thank you very much for joining us for one more round, and welcome back to another episode of Film Club. I am one of your hosts, Andy Harrison, and to my right, as always, Andy Dalton.
How do?
This week in Film Club, we have been watching with a classy drum roll.
Can we do a little?
What was that?
I don't know.
I couldn't decide if that was Wilhelm scream or if it was the Chewbacca.
Yeah.
We have been watching Bullitt.
Steve McQueen.
Where we left you all last week on a cliffhanger. We didn't know what we were watching, but we went for Bullitt.
Of course, we're going to San Francisco.
Because we're going to see him in San Francisco in we will be
4
there
weeks.
in
4 weeks. Yeah, it is. It's the 14th today, so it'll be the 15th will be in LA, so it'll be about 18th, 19th of April. So that should be good. And obviously, we're recording in advance because of class. So, Bullitt.
No. We took time out of our holiday to sit here and record Bullitt.
Yeah, we flew back and God knows how much there and all the time.
So, give us your breakdown. Give us your 30-second rundown of the.
It's a crime film, really, Bullitt. It's
taking this off.
Oh, thanks.
I'm going to put it over here so it makes no noise.
It's a crime film, yeah. It's what's really good is it's basically about Steve McQueen as a detective, and he has an unorthodox way. I remember seeing the title cover. It says there are good cops, then there are bad cops, and then there's Bullitt or Frank Bullitt. And I thought it was really cool.
That's a nice way of putting it. Actually.
Yeah. So he's got an unorthodox way of doing stuff. They're looking after this guy who's going to do a testify or something. And just he gets killed more or less, and it's Frank Bullitt, who is Frank Bullitt, isn't it? Yeah, it's Frank. He says Frank.
Steve McBullitt.
He's on about him trying to find out who actually did it, and the film is it's infamous. It's incredibly. Infamous means bad, doesn't it? Sorry, it's famous. It's well revered, and it's just seen as an amazing film for that 10-minute car chase. It is. I remember my dad sitting me down, actually. He said, Andrew, because my dad's got a collection. If you saw the Twitter, then that's part of the collection, actually.
Check out, which actually, by the way, your dad's renowned collection.
Yeah.
However, when you tweeted that, I went on.
No, there was what was on there. It was taken, actually. That was just a bit pissed off.
No, but I zoomed in.
He does have some bad films.
I zoomed in and I was like, this is actually awesome. There's some seriously good stuff back there. I was
well, that top shelf, all the 18s, mate, I went through them. When I was 15, I was allowed to watch 18s. So I went through them. The only one I didn't like is Natural Born Killers.
Yeah,
which we would have done, but it's not seen as a critically. It's more of a cult film. But they got Alien. They've got American History X. He's got all these amazing ones.
I remember in that image that I think you go up top right. There's Kill Bill.
Yeah,
there's some Inglourious Bastards in there.
Yeah.
There's Lost in Translations in there. There's awesome stuff.
Yeah, my dad has a really good collection. So so I remember when I was a little kiddie, our dad was like, "Look, Andrew, I want to make you watch good films, sort of thing, and this is one you're going to watch." And I was, to be honest, looking back, I was too young to appreciate the full film. However, I always remember that car chase. I'll always remember it. I even said to you, I said, let's do Bullitt because we're going to San Francisco, and I always remember going up and down those ramps. Now, we sat down, and I was like, all right. I forgot the film because it was probably about 10, 15 years since I watched it. And looking back and watching it again, I was like, you know what? Fucking hell, that was good. What do you think?
So it's definitely an interesting film because there's some stuff in it which I think are immensely strong. It's had such a big impact on cinema, and you can see that impact today.
Yeah,
I do think it's got some problems.
I think it does as well.
We'll get to the problems in a little bit.
Yeah.
But now I definitely want to talk about some of the good stuff.
Go on.
Because I think my favourite thing about this is Steve McQueen.
Well, do you know something funny? Steve McQueen, actually, his production company, produced this film, and it was just mainly, to use his word, a segue. It was a segue for Steve McQueen to actually do his own stunts, because he does the majority of the stunts in his films.
Do you mean a vehicle?
A segue. No, it was basically Steve McQueen's way of, so you could actually just have this class race his car as fast as he could down the streets. I mean, for Christ's sake, it was a Ford Mustang GT390, if I recall. And the other one was a Dodge Charger that was getting chased by. But point is, Steve McQueen's company produced it. To be honest, I did read this something about right? Famous cars and film and shit like that. So Steve McQueen did produce it. But my mate Michael was telling us today, he goes, Steve McQueen, it was a great word, Steve McQueen. Not to be mixed up with the director who did 12 Years a Slave, not Phil, sorry, I take that back, Hunger and Shame.
Yeah, different Steve McQueen. American Steve McQueen.
American, yeah, which is weird. Yeah. American Steve McQueen, who unfortunately has passed. He's not with us anymore. He apparently was a bit of a diva and said, "Yeah, I won't do this." Like Great Escape, he's like, "Man, the enemy's coming the credits first." This is all Mike says. Like, I don't have anything to do it up. But he's just like, "I need to have this motorbike. I have to ride a motorbike in Great Escape." Anyone seen Great Escape? It's like one of my favourite films ever. Steve McQueen is great. And what was really cool is in the Great Escape, he plays this kind of like bit of a cocky American kind of guy because it's all set like majority of Britons in there, and you got 2 Americans in there. And he's mates with the Scottish lad. Anyway, in that film, he's kind of this cocky guy. In Bullitt, he's very kind of straight, serious. And I remember when I was saving the other video the other week, I was watching a couple of things by Tony Zhao, Every Frame a Painting. And there was one really good thing about editing. And it was on about, like, part of it, what he said is a lot of the best actors act through their eyes. Yeah. And you could totally tell us to Steve McQueen today. Like, the way he had those things, and just the way you could tell his eyes. And, this film's acclaimed for its editing as well. So you could attribute that to the edit.
I think a lot of that is something called, do you know what cooler shot effect is?
Go on.
So if anyone doesn't know what the cooler shot effect is, this is kind of why like a lot of people just associate that type of acting with like really deep, intimate eye acting. And it's because cooler shot effect basically is where you cut something can either make or break a performance. Yeah. Cooler shot effect is you can have a complete stone-faced a Russian guy called Kuleshov.
All right, okay.
It's so basically you have a completely stone-faced guy who has no emotion on his face, slate. Mm-hmm. Then you could cut to something else and cut back to him, and we as an audience will project our emotions onto him. So like Alfred Hitchcock very famously did an example with the same guy. I think the shot he used was himself, and there's this old gentleman looking at like a mother and a baby. Yeah. And it cuts back to him, and he looks like he's looking on him with like sweet sort of like, oh look, like I'm really happy about that little moment. Instead, that exact same sequence replaces the mother and the baby, and instead in the middle puts in a woman in a bikini, and now that same performance looks like a dirty old man.
Shit.
And that's what the cool show effect is, and a lot of that is played on, I think, in Bullitt. Yeah. Because I think, although Steve McQueen's one of my favourite things about the film, I wouldn't call it a great performance. I'd call it great casting.
Yeah, well, is it great casting? Because he produced it, so he could potentially cast himself.
Yeah, like, same thing. In regards to who made the choice, he knew that was a good role for him, or someone else knew it was a good role for him. He fits the role well. I don't think it's this, like, outlandish performance. It's because a lot of the film is very understated in the way it approaches things. There's so much realism going on here. Yeah. Like, they're trying to like, realistically portray, like, the chase sequence, or, like, detective drama, or like inner police workings, and like what it's like to chase a guy through an airport. Yeah,
that was really good, especially with the planes.
Yeah,
like I didn't like. I
did almost fuck up drinking.
This is how you do it, mate.
Thanks. But no, it's the film is. It's got so much good about it. That my mind right now is funny enough going to like all the bad stuff.
Do it.
So I want to spend a bit of time more talking about the good stuff. Some of the ways this is shot, gorgeous.
In what respect? The actual chase itself, or outside of the chase? Because the chase is the pinnacle point in this film. It is the holy grail of drive scenes, I dare say. So you've got this great part in the film, this 10-minute part. Does everything else around it match up to that?
No. Nope.
So
but again, I want to come back to that.
Yes, no, but the shots in question, are they outside or are they part of the driving?
No, both. Actually, you know what? The driving, the sequence, the drive sequence, the chase in San Francisco is beautifully shot as well. I love the stuff where like they're coming around corners, like they mounted cameras onto like buildings, onto parked cars and stuff. Yeah. And like they're swinging around. There's also like first person as they're going through. Gorgeous. Like it gives you that sort of sensation that you're in the car, you're in the chase.
That's this chase, intended, yeah.
Like the best compliment I can give it is that this chase doesn't 50 years later, this chase doesn't like hold up. This chase is still really engaging, really exciting. Yes. And probably edited better than most chase sequences are edited today. Yeah. And that is a huge compliment to it. And that chase scene deserves to go down in history. Yeah. In the history of cinema, it deserves to have been iterated on 1,000 times over and never quite topped, I wouldn't say. Yeah. Well, there's debatably other stuff that's done interesting stuff outside that. But there's other scenes that are shot beautifully. There's the bit later on where like he's sitting with his girlfriend, and
On the beach.
on the beach where she's got out of the car and like run off, and like she's saying like how do you do this, and it's all shot from like telephoto length, and slightly behind I think it's grass or like there's a bit of a fence or something in the way, just to show there's like some sort of disconnect, some sort of discommunication going on between them. They're not quite like clicking like they used to,
Because the audience is disconnected from the actual people.
exactly.
That's rather interesting.
And that was funny enough. Like maybe the performance, maybe the dialogue isn't quite the best in the film, but in terms of aesthetic look, that's probably my favourite sequence. It was so simple and yet so effective.
Yeah, and it was kind of a major point. It was when, because if you look at the very end of the film where he looks in the mirror at himself, he's like, is this all worth it? He's reflecting on her words essentially, isn't she? 'Cause she's saying, you live in a life of danger. I don't know if I know you fully.
Yeah.
And he's like, by the way, the first time he actually shoots someone, which I love, by the way, I think that's the idea. He didn't use his gun throughout the film. A couple of times he might get it out, but he never used it up until the end. And it's that scene at the end where he's like, he sees his gun and his bullets, and he's like, shit, I am getting into this guy had a gun. He could have shot me. Maybe I should stick out with her.
I think it definitely feels kind of slice of lifey for him as well. This isn't. I don't think this feels like the big case he works on. This feels like just one of the cases he works on, which is in itself really interesting. Part of it, adding again to the realism of the film. Like when we meet him early on, the first time you meet him is when he's in bed.
Yeah.
And his mate
his sergeant
comes over,
his
partner or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And does he take a beer out of the fridge or something? Orange juice out the fridge. And like Steve's getting up and he's a bit haggard and like...
I love that, by the way. He goes down the stairs, pull the thing, and the camera's just there. He comes back in the room, sits in the bed, and the other guy comes in, goes to the fridge, comes back. It's all like that one shot.
Yeah. It's a really classy way of shooting it. But like, we meet him in a bad place with some good stuff going on. He does this job without ever getting like particularly flustered about it. He's very cool and collected throughout the whole thing. We leave him in a bad place. It feels just like this momentary like look into his life.
Well, what's it called when you start a film in the middle of things? There's a particular phrase, isn't there?
In medias res.
Yes. So this is medias res, isn't it? And it's like a snapshot of Bullitt's life.
It's like in medias res for his life. Like, okay, we start at the beginning of the story, I guess.
Well, not really.
But also, actually, you're completely right, because Bullitt's got a bit of a reputation already, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. You're looking after, he's well liked and stuff like that. He's looking after someone. You don't know who this guy is, apart from he's going to testify.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a medias res anyway. The another great thing about the film, specifically in the car scenes, my head's a bit. It's the sound.
Yeah.
Like the sound effects of this film.
I've got something on that. But you got.
I want you to. Well, later after my point is the audio, the sound effects, like the way those cars were going around the corners, the screeching of the tyres, the burnout, everything like that. This film was what, 1970, 69, is it?
60. I was 63.
I think it's 69. I could be wrong anyway, or 68. But regardless, for the fact that, those sound effects at that time and how amazing and how like we said in Top Gun a couple of weeks ago, we said about how when he's in the fighter jet plane and he goes around and it's banking sort of thing. Oh, thanks for that.
I'm just looking it up for you.
Yeah, cheers. It's banking. You got the plane like that changes another scene, or when you're in the cockpit with Maverick, Tom Cruise, and it changes. You don't hear the outside sounds. Same again for Bullitt. Now you're inside the car and you get complete different sound perspective. 68.
68.
Yeah, I thought it might have been.
One away.
I did say 68. You can check.
I just went from 69.
Oh, sorry, mate.
It was the stare afterwards, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was weird. But the way it goes around the corner, you have a car going around the corner this way or towards you, and I notice this when it's in the background and you hear this absolutely amazing engine sound. But as it gets closer to you, you feel more the rumble come across, you feel more the bass come in, which is what happened. A great example is the Doppler effect as that goes across. I mean, these guys, there's software now where you can recreate the Doppler effect. I was showing at least something about on Pro Tools. And you can recreate that Doppler effect. Anyway, these guys must have literally had cars going by, the sound the Foley artists and stuff like that. And it was just incredible. There was another part about the sound as well, and I completely forgot. Say your piece about the sound because I want to hear this.
Well, actually, so funny you mentioned that exact scene, like the cars and stuff, because when I was watching this, one thing came to mind, right? Have I ever talked to you about Jack Reacher?
I didn't enjoy it. I couldn't get
Tom
into it.
Cruise film from about 5 years ago or something.
I couldn't enjoy it.
So no, I absolutely hated it. And one of the complaints I came out of Jack Reacher with was the chase sequence is completely devoid of any sort of music, and all you can hear is fucking engine revving, tires screeching around corners.
I like that. It's immersive.
And it's that for like 10 minutes of a chase. It's fucking horrible.
Do you like it?
This is engines revving and tires screeching, but mixed or mastered or whatever the correct word is.
It's mixed, yeah.
Beautifully.
Masters where you got like the mix, everything's all right. It's just getting all like it's like the little nitpicking at the mix sort of thing where you got mixing. The actual a great example is we're on about this conversation about this Rogue One. I think I might have mentioned a previous film club. I think I actually did. Sorry. So just to use that example again, Rogue One, you got sound editing, which is using all the effects. It's the ADR. It's everything without the music, and it's like that. If I were to record that, that'd be like sound editing. It'd be like getting all those sounds, put them together. Mixing is how Rogue One in the space scenes at the end. It's how he had these amazing spaceships, the Star Wars music coming across. You could hear the lines of the dialogue. Everything was mixed to perfection. Like the music might dip when Felicity Jones said a line, Jin said a line. That's sound mixing. It's making sure everything flows together, fits together, and it's clear and audible.
Cool.
So that's what it will be. And it'll be like, a good example is when a car's coming towards you, you hear the car getting closer, it's louder. That's great mixing. Because if you just had a car in the same consistent volume, it sounds shit.
The mixing then was spot on. This wasn't like this. They weren't trying to like make you love cars by like having this loud screeching and engines revving and stuff.
Yeah.
It was just, you're right, adding again back that sense of realism. Like if any point a car was like, I think it's partly because of the way they shot it as well. Yeah. They were often shooting the cars far away and allowing them to move forward. And I think part of that allows them to mix it well. Part of them allows them to have like the screeches that come around the corner far away, and then as they get closer, the sound kind of evens out. It's such an enjoyable scene to watch. Really. And like, it's funny that the conversation about this film always, no matter who you talk to, comes back to that scene.
Because it's literally incredible. Like, that was so enjoyable.
It's great. And then, but I also think that does speak to the unspoken caveats to this film.
Okay.
And that is the middle section of this sags like a bitch.
Can we explain the middle? It's just before the car scene, isn't it?
So like the whole
in a hospital.
We open and everything's interesting. Like there's sort of a quiet mystique about everything. You don't quite know what's going on. You're trying to figure out working politics of things. There's like there's the guy who wants protecting, and then he comes and like there's the mystery of like who's done what to him. Then there's the bit where Bullitt's trying to figure this whole thing out, and like I think even up to the chase sequence and maybe slightly afterwards as well, this film slows to a crawl.
You get, I know what you're on about. He's trying to find out the name of the grey-haired guy. You got that little scene with Robert Duvall. A great cameo, by the way, the taxi driver. He's just there just chilling. Nice. I know, yeah, it was really weird, wasn't it? But yeah, it's the whole trying to detective it all out, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And a good example is the hospital scene. You speak to the doctor. You got Chalmers. By the way, Chalmers, you dick. I don't like Chalmers.
Good performance, though.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant performance. You got Chalmers there, and it's all like that up until he finally finds this guy. Yeah.
And like a part of that is the way they've approached the film, which pays off in like the chase sequence, like removing a lot of the audio, a lot of the way Steve McQueen's character almost doesn't have a character.
He doesn't really speak much.
Doesn't speak much, and like,
I like that.
It all adds to like the cool factor of it.
Yeah, he's Steve McQueen.
But it makes this film so plot heavy. Like the characters are very paper thin characters.
Okay.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, the middle section of this film sags and really pulls it down. But totally picks up for the chase sequence. When it sags afterwards a little bit, not as much. And then the final payoff, also great.
Yeah, it really is. It comes to show like what's good is it's still got the film ends and it's still got the whole crime part. You know, who's going to testify? What happened to Chalmers? After it leaves you there, but it feels like not necessarily it's done a circle, but it's done a loop of McQueen's life or Bullitt's life.
Yeah, like exactly. Which is exactly what I meant by like having a little slice of it. It doesn't feel like a big event. It just feels like it's still boop.
Yeah,
like we're gone. He's going to continue doing interesting things afterwards. I want to touch on, because I want to hear your thoughts on the music.
It was, yes, I'm thanking you reminded me that. I put it down. I was going to put a couple of notes down and I forgot. I loved it. I loved the fact that they had a jazz scene to it. I really loved it. I don't know if you, but I thought it was great. Like, you got a few music parts throughout the drive, or the great music parts before, by the way, especially with the slow building, the way the characters don't talk much. You've got incredible saxophone in the background. Even during the car chase, never thought jazz would complement a car chase so well. That was unbelievable.
Like, the music, every time it came in, I wanted more of it. But at the same time, I really appreciate the fact they weren't overusing the music.
Yeah, well, it's like, that's it, isn't it? It's just, again, this film's cool. Jazz is notoriously cool music. It's so, like, chilled, you're laid back and that. Some parts of this film wasn't.
Kind of like, I really feel like it fits that San Francisco environment as well.
Hugely.
But I'm saying this, and actually I don't know if I'm saying that because it does complement the San Francisco environment, or if this film established that kind of cool factor of San Francisco and jazz.
I would potentially doubt that it influenced that. I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you kind of like with musical cultures, especially something as huge as jazz, it's more so that there's always had that culture in the city. I mean, you think about the evolution, jazz has always been a staple. It's never kind of progressed as in like, you look at indie music, how it's progressed from like potential punk and stuff like that. That's gone from the 70s to now. That's taken years, whereas jazz has prevailed through all that time. So I kind of say jazz is one of those age-old genres that's always had its place in specific environments, scenarios, cities. So I wish it could be the case. I could be wrong, but that's just my interpretation. Sorry.
So you excited me earlier.
Cool.
Apparently there's a great big lump of trivia time coming our way.
Well, yeah. I mean, do you know what? When I first started watching this film, I was a bit unsure, because one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of old films is because I hate the sound of it. And I was a bit apprehensive about the sound at the start of this film, like the way they delivered dialogue and a couple of, I don't know if it was the copy I was watching it on. I was actually watching it on DVD, thank God, because my dad, well done, as opposed to other methods.
Represent Clive.
But yeah, so there was low battery. Anyway, it picked up. Now, what was interesting was when the car chased and the screeching tyres around the corner.
Yep.
Me and him, we grew up on the PlayStation, yeah?
We grew up on the PlayStation.
Do you ever remember a game called Driver?
Yeah.
So reminiscent of
Driver
film.
San Francisco.
It's based off, San Francisco, it's based in Miami, New York.
Yeah.
Now, I was just reading that about it, and I was thinking, oh yeah, I remember that game, because it reminded me so much of Driver. Like when you go around the corner on Driver, you got the wheel trims coming off, like the Dodge Charger, the car he was chasing had. There's a couple of inconsistencies in the edit. I was reading after, there was a few inconsistencies in the editing, but that's to be expected. Anyway, the point is, so the game Driver is reminiscent of that so much. Now, when I was reading about Driver, there's apparently, if you complete the whole game, you get access to a few cheats. You also get access to a special level. I'm going to search who's it by. Anyway, so the people who created the game Driver, and they made the sequels as well. It came out in 1999. They were based near us. They were based in Newcastle upon Tyne.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
I actually had no idea.
Yeah. So they were based in Newcastle. Now, you might be able to show it. I'll give you this YouTube clip later on. Reflections Media, I think they're called.
Reflections Media.
Yeah, Reflections Interactive is the game company. What they did is a special level.
Driver.
No shit, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, but not only that, the secret level, you actually go through Newcastle. You're on the fucking Tyne Bridge, mate. No shit. You're on and it goes down to the quayside.
That's really cool.
Honestly, I hope you put it up there. I'm gonna send it to YouTube, courtesy of this guy.
For anyone who has no idea what the hell we're talking about, Newcastle's about an hour away. So like, if we drove to Newcastle, we'd be about an hour away. We always say
where you're from in the UK. It's like just south of Newcastle. That's our monument.
And
a lot of people won't know Newcastle.
If anyone from like New York or LA like watches this, you probably don't know like why the fuck we care. But like coming from Yorkshire, there is never a game set near you.
Well, it's not only that. Well, we do have Edinburgh, and Newcastle has quite a big game scene.
I couldn't tell. Like, if a game is set in Edinburgh, I don't know. Like that.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, so I see what you said. I thought you were about the actual
There's never
going to
be like a GTA T side.
Yeah, I was always wanting a game where we could recreate a zombie game and do it in the city of Middlesbrough because it's all this gloomy. I kind of did I did my dissertation on it using the streets of Middlesbrough.
One of the ones that actually Natalie and I, my fiance, were talking about the other day was the first level of Resistance: Fall of Man.
I haven't played Resistance.
Well, it starts and it's like World War II era and it's in York.
Oh really?
But like it still doesn't feel like York.
Yeah.
Whereas like you hear people who are playing like Watch Dogs that's out right now, the second one, like they're driving around San Francisco and they're like, oh my god, this is spot on, and people like playing GTA 4, like, oh my god, there's so and so, and like anyone who lives in New York, any game that comes out ever, They're like, hey, that's the street down there. That's 4th Street. That's 5th Avenue.
Yeah, for us, it's quite rare that happens. Speaking of which, the Reflections Media, I believe it's that company. I could be a different company. I might be on about Pitbull. But I think it's them that joined Epic and helped do Watch Dogs. I could be wrong. It could be the other company like Pitbull when I was on about. So, Bullitt. Cracking. Please watch it. Please. Well, we haven't even gone about the influence.
To revive our failed segment from a few weeks ago, you see Bullitt across the bar. Bullitt's looking pretty hot. Do you approach Bullitt and buy a drink?
I'd just be like, look, mate, here's a whiskey. Cracking film.
That's it. It's perfect.
I say whiskey. I did use old fashions before, but Steve McQueen just speaks whiskey.
Yeah, well, Steve McQueen
look at the Great Escape. He had
a whiskey
kind of moonshine and potatoes. One thing I just want to go on about is the influence that this driving scene has. Yep. This is the staple of future driving scenes. I mean, the next one you'll see in a few minutes' time. We're going to do Fast and Furious. We thought I'd go for a modern one.
Came up early.
Cheers.
It's going to stay there now till we're done.
No, please. No, I don't know, actually.
Look, it's awkwardly hanging around.
And you look at drive scenes nowadays, you look at the intensity that they have, and this is all from films like Bullitt, especially Bullitt. You could have it argue with a couple of others. The director of Bullitt did another film, I can't remember, it's got a weird name to it, it's like a kind of a foreign kind of sound name. There's something.
I'll find it.
Thanks. And you look at all these great driving films. I mean, even my favourite film, Drive, like the way that, I mean, yes, it has a soundtrack behind the film. It doesn't have that jazz scene.
No, but like, yeah, the opening.
Not Nightcall, actually. It's the other one. It's Time of the Beat or something. I forget what it's called.
The opening section, that whole driving opening section.
You can tell it's hugely influenced by it. Hugely. And it will go like you said, 50 years down in history, this will be a film where it's massive. It's integral to future action films that are based around driving. Really.
I'm not quite sure which one you're referring to. It sounds foreign. Robbery was his other big influential one.
Where's Bullitt?
But yeah, it's amazing to see how much Bullitt's kind of gone on to influence films, and see its influence not only in films preceding this. The films that came after this.
Yeah.
But it's also really interesting to see its influence still on films today.
Yeah.
And
hugely right.
I think maybe the sour taste that's left is that the films that have taken influence from Bullitt and haven't necessarily understood what made it great.
Yeah.
And maybe it has caused a ripple effect in the industry, which has caused some very poor filmmaking.
You reckon?
And that's a bit of I think that leaves a bit of a sour taste, at least in my mouth. In terms of things like Jack Reacher, those people who are trying to ape the action.
Yeah, that's the downfall of it.
For example, we have just sat here for 20 minutes and talked
25.
about the majority of Bullitt surrounding that one sequence.
Yes.
And that's
the French Connection, sorry, that was
like,
it. The French Connection.
Sorry to be part of the problem. That is a problem that we shouldn't just be focusing on that one sequence.
Well, that's why I said earlier, is this
sequence,
film, does it hold up without the car scene? And you did a great example of that shot of him and his partner.
But like that sequence, okay, there's problems around it, but that sequence pays off because
But the slow build.
Of the slow build.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the use of Steve McQueen, I love films. There we go. Drive. Gosling, the driver. He's the same. Little to no.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Although that's, I guess, so
Relevation.
I was about to say he's got more of a film noir influence, but actually Steve McQueen's character has a lot of film noir influence from the detectives of film noir.
Yeah.
Anyway, let us know in the comments below what you thought of Bullitt, or you can hit us up on Twitter. Next week, we will be returning once again with...
To watch this film that's been there for fucking ages.
Yeah, well, because I've just done the Twitter thing, it's going to have to go.
I win.
So, you might have just won.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week for The Fast and the Furious.
Cheers.
Let's see how it influences that.